So let's begin with our back to the wall. I want you to have your seat so you get a feeling of most essentially your rear sensation and possibly getting a feeling of your feet stretching open almost to the borders of your mat. So have a wide stance. This is going to be a beginning experience, and the focus today is blending resistance and lengthening in the first segment. So with that in awareness, we're going to lean forward and feel a hinge at the hips. But I want you to let your core right at the top of the quadriceps and that attachment to where you fold at the hips to try to reach forward as if you're lengthening over an object like a large tabletop surface. So there's still this connection into your stomach versus letting it collapse. And then reach out with the arms, and they have a destination of a chair. So when you select this reach, your seat likely pushes a little more into the wall. So let your arms extend. Feel how the belly kind of calms down and softens here. And I want you to work your way to walking your feet back to the wall so they're closer, so that when you extend out of your torso, your concentration is in the ribs and the mid to upper back. And when you're reaching, I want you to try to let your seat, your rear push into the wall, and then let your head be between the arms and elongate through the spine, through the brainstem, and let your brain weight relax. So let's start here. Fingers stretching open. Spine elongates and brain relaxed. In fact, let the brain relax even more than the belly here. Feel if you can experience the back body at the back of the ribs expanding with your inhale, and come back to centering on the exhale. So this will be individual, how you're exploring this, but take it into what you would consider closer to a dog pose. So that might mean you stretch your seat to the wall, maybe you move your seat off of the wall and you experience your arms volume increase. And you might stay in center here with your head completely passive. So let's center for several breathing and lengthening moments. Connect to the source of your base of the feet, all the way up to the back of the legs. Now when you slide your hands to the edge of the chair, I want you to feel that there's a bit of sturdiness here to the support. So I'm going to walk the feet together and actually lift my heels up at the wall. So I'm stretching at the bottoms of the feet. In fact, we're going to meander a little through this beginning sequence on exploration of our potential for the levers of the body. That includes the arms. So when I grab the sides of the chair seat, I'm going to start to lean my thighs forwards and down and lift the throat and the brain up. And then when you come back, I want you to keep your heels up and stabilize so that it feels a little slippery with the chair for you. Instead of pushing as far back, you might stay hovering over. I want to explore this opportunity of leaning back and then setting yourself back forward to warm up the arms in a very safe and that core arm control. We'll do this about 4 times. So explore the lift of the heels, the direction through the balls of the feet, and the experience of lengthening through the front. What is that like with connecting center of the abdomen up to the chest, to the throat? Come back to neutral, and let's lower our right heel to the base of the wall and simply step the left foot forward under the chair seat. So the bottom of the foot is in a comfortable pattern of imprinting. And then let's start to pivot the right foot out. So the outside of that right foot is easily connected to the wall. And, you know, I think a block might be good on this one. So place the block on top of the seat and bring your left hand to that block and stretch the right arm up. Okay, so the block makes it a little bit easier for the ability to rotate through the center piece of the body. Now, if it feels too short for your arm, it's not easy with a block, you can always place it aside and try without it. See, what do you prefer? What allows you to achieve that awareness through the sides, beginning, and maybe your eyes can close, and then you can scan in the body where you could bring focus towards. Maybe it's the tops of the thighs lifting, maybe a little softening at the left knee. Okay, so let's come on up, and we're going to turn the left foot forward, so both feet face, toes face forward. The right outer foot touches the wall. I have a part of my outer right foot, not the whole side to the heel, what's comfortable for me. And I'm kind of in this pentacle pose, you know, the wall is near my hand. But when I lower down, I'm going to keep reaching and reaching. Yeah, I'm extending, and I'm going to grab a block on the way down just in case. And I'm going to lower my hands onto that block and bend both knees and feel the torso motion forward. So I want you to let your crown of your head extend forward. So you don't have to look up towards the screen, but you'll feel the outer sensation of the feet. Actually, you'll probably feel more of your heels make an imprint. And then let's lower down our hands if possible to the floor. And then if possible further, you're going to bend your elbows and walk your hands back. So the block is not important now. Walk the hands back between the feet and lower down the head towards the floor. Yeah, it may not touch. If this is a challenge for you, instead of trying to force the stretch and sensation, emphasize the inversion. In fact, emphasize that when you have the feet in this wide stance and you let the head lower down, stay with it, the hands on the floor, fingers can either touch down and the heels of the hands down or cupping the hands, and then lifting up through the sitting bones. Try to let the back legs kind of peel up to the seat. And then essential is the inversion, reversing that flow to the brain. So let your head nod a little bit side to side. Feel the sitting bones lifting, feel the brain weight. Now, as you bring yourself back up, let's take a hold to the hands to the hips, and then turn the left foot forwards to the chair, and reach your hands down onto that seat. And we're going to switch the sides so that the right foot gets the opportunity to step forward under the chair seat, the left foot steps back, and then we pivot the outer edge of that left foot to the wall. So encourage that the alignment or alignment, the alignment, lengthening, working your way of your waist. And so I'll be turning away from the screen, but what you'll be working towards is triangle pose, okay? So I like the block idea today. It seems to be helpful for me, but I could see why a longer arm might not prefer that. So right hand on the block, left arm, springs open the ribs. Consider here the low back of the waistline, the kidneys, kind of are like wings, so kind of opening out. So extend your left arm up, feel where the waist turns. Keep it simple. You could turn your head to look down to the right hand. You certainly do not have to look up, but concentration on the tops of the thighs, like you're drawing up the kneecaps, the quadriceps pull up on the right leg. Okay, now let's start to move ourselves up. So if your block is on the chair, just move it on the chair so it will not be a distraction. And then when you come up, we're going to turn to the chair with our torso and take a step forward to the chair, back foot steps away from the wall to find some balance, and then step the right foot up onto the chair seat. Okay, turn to the wall, so the right hand stretches back on the wall. Make sure that you're far enough away from the wall that your arm can actually externally rotate, and it's minimal compared to a hip rotation. Right, when we're on our back, sometimes we'll do cobbler's pose and the thigh will rotate out. Similar direction, okay? But it is a little more complex for the rotator cuff. So feel the hand turn. Try to get that right thumb so it's going up. And my hand feels a little wishy-washy pushing into the wall, to be honest. So I'm going to cup the hand and bring the left hand to the outer right leg and work on the standing leg strength. So feel through the left leg up through the spine. If there's some blocked areas or holding patterns, work on that lift up. Even if you lift up your left heel for a few seconds, feel the energy moving up and then out through that right arm. And then as you bring your right arm down, I want you to bring your right hand to hold on to that right leg. Simply turn the gaze towards the chair, above the chair. And then hands on the hips, stand center, and change sides immediately. So we go right into the opposite hip chamber. Keep the hips full of coordination here. So I'm pushing down to my right foot. I'm going to look down at it and make sure it's as parallel as it could be towards my chair. And then reach the right hand outside of that left knee and reach the left hand back to the wall. Thumb up, chest open. Okay? This is a perfect opportunity to coordinate the knee strength here. So instead of comparing it to this or that pose, we'll be right here now. But feel where that right hand touches that left knee. Control so the knee doesn't turn out or in. And then feeling that swath of muscles in your mid-back, like this very large muscle piece in the back into the lats, more of the lats. And then as you are turning left, feel the chest gradually select a shape of openness. Breathe. Now, if you find putting an imprint into the wall with your hand works, give that a try. Start to slide the left hand off the wall. Try to lift it up. So both arms rise, and you can feel stability down into your right foot. And then we'll reach the arms open. Keep it simple. And now we're going to lower that foot down and then take a seat through the chair. So I'm going to slide my chair back so it's kind of easy distance to the wall when I'm sitting in it and stretching towards the wall. So I want you to find that there is a few 3 to 4 feet maximum, probably 4, from the wall, but you can guesstimate it here. It's not going to be critical. So when we step through the chair, so we're sitting into the chair, you're going to have your block between the knees, And I want you to sit far enough through the chair seat that it is a stretch to hold the seat of the chair with your hands to open the chest. All right, so I have to be far enough through the chair seat. Of course, I've got the bar here that's going to create some resistance, but try to move your ribs to the bar. This is a good to have a chair you can do this with. So, shoulders are not only back, but the heart lifts, the seat is heavy, and the arch of the spine is defined. Walk the hands up to the arch of your back. Feel the lift of the rib cage, inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to spread the arms open, like you've got this wingspan behind you. I want you to curl the arms, the elbows, and hollow the belly and reach your fingertips towards each other. Squeeze the block. Inhale, open the arms, chest forward towards the bar. Exhale, hollow the belly. Continue this pursuit of this upper core, and then the base of the core down to the squishy lower parts of the belly. So I want you to try to squeeze that block when you're moving your ribs forward, and try to go slow motion here a few times. So we're squeezing and we're rounding the back and feeling the hands reach to the fingers. And then as we move open, there's a bit of bracing in the arm muscles. So I want you to notice the arms as you lower them back to the seat. And as you hold the edge of the chair seat, curl the fingers around it if possible, and motion the shoulders back. And compare this to hands holding together and interlacing the fingers. Let the palms drop open so you have the interlace of the fingers, not the palms gripping. And stretch the arms back and up. Notice if the chest feels supported here, or if it feels supported when you hold the chair seat. Which is the most valuable for you, not what seems more advanced. So give it a few moments here. Center the heart, and then reach the left hand to the bar of the chair, and you're going to use that bar as a support to help you turn to the right. Now, previously we were doing a little bit of a twist with our foot on the chair, and the rotation came from a different layer of back muscles. So I want you to work towards squeezing the block, okay? And feel the connection of the chair with your hand. Now, if your arm is quite long, and this is kind of halting your progress, you can reach your hand around, farther on the chair seat, farther around the corner. Some like to reach their hand to the actual left side of the chair bar, right? They can hold to that bar. Actually, it's not as hard as you think it is. Hold to that bar and use the left hand as a grasp onto the bar, and then feel the body create that turn. It's different than if my hand is on the chair seat. Okay? Now try to keep the knees across from each other. I'd like to do a little bit of swishing on this position. So keep them across, basically holding onto the block. Nothing more impressive than that. Okay, now with the hand staying back behind you, if it's on the other bar of the chair, the side, put it back to the seat. And then when you switch sides, I want you to bring the hands back and really move your ribs towards the bar of the chair. These real fundamental basics of creating expansiveness in the lungs. This is equal to our restoratives when we're in a chest opener, but this requires a little bit more inner heat and collaboration with the muscles, okay? So when you twist to your left, right arm around the bar of the chair, and you turn the waist. Now, investigate the hold of the chair with your left hand and the circulation in the upper part of the waist. It's very clear that your seat is close to your lower belly, so that area kind of goes with the program. But it's requiring your upper body to go with it as well. So feel that left hand. If it works for you to reach it to the other bar of the chair, and that's no problem, it allows you to feel this nice core collaboration. You can go with that. But with a few more moments here, hand on the back seat or hand on the side of the chair, the bar, sidebar. Now left arm lifts up, thumb lifting, both hands up. Reach your hands, actually let's get our block here. Let's bring the hands to hold the block so the block is between your hands. And you're going to bend your elbows and keep that block close to the sides of your head. So I'll face towards you so you can see. We're going to be coming out of the chair in a moment. Anyway, you could take your feet out if you want as well. But hands onto that pressure system of the block. And when I bend the elbows and move my block back, I've got to be a little careful that my elbows don't fling out. I've got to bring them in towards my head, but just the right amount. Not too much for my neck muscles. Enough that I can do a little nod of my head down, just a tiny bit. And then feel the elbows. Slowly adorn some bows on them. Try to keep that heat into the triceps. Simple. And then as you move the block up, we're going to move it down, come out of the chair that direction with your knees to the back, through it. You're going to turn to face the wall, okay? So let's take it, so our right foot crosses over to the left knee so that right knee stretches open. Okay, block not important. Both hands merge to the wall, so you might adjust your chair seat because it's quite pleasant to have something to push into. It feels complete and supported. It's still intense in my hip, but it certainly brings completion to the sensation. So endeavor to lower your ribs down. Feel the arch in the back, almost like you would in an upward facing dog. So that would mean I feel my ribs go forwards. And then even it out. Let your head lower down between the arms. Push the wall away. Ribs expand. Head center so the neck is not involved. Head is centered. Now when you switch, you're going to cross and uncross to the other leg, uncross and cross. Okay, left foot crosses up so that foot crosses to the right knee. And feel that left leg open, or the challenge of it, does it ever improve? So feel that you're on kind of the edge of your seat. You still feel the seat enough, but you're able to use that as a propelling, right? So you're kind of motioning, there's momentum, and the hands to the wall. If you don't like being this close to the wall, you can always go further by trying to lower your hands towards the floor. I like the version where my back is receiving stability compared to kind of slumping over, even though that might feel like the achievements go up in my hip. But stability is nice too. So feel where that left thigh rotates open. Blend breath in, exhaling, resting, out breath. Now when you do uncross, you might uncross the left foot, step the feet as wide as your mat, take a very controlled seat like your thighs just got a little bit more bulk underneath them, so you have a little more established weight in the chair. And then you're going to lower down, so bring your hands to either the floor or back to the chair legs. Let the spine stretch, head down. Remember, you can have your hands on the floor or on a couple blocks if you prefer. You could even have your hands reaching up the wall for this back stretch. So that's door number 1, and door number 2, you're lowering down. Door 3 to the chair legs. Essential that your head actually releases from the spine. The ribs expand and release. Don't think about contracting as much as deep breath, and then find calm to the exhale. Now hands coming back either to the wall or the legs or a blend of the two. And we're going to come up and use this chair as a little bit of leverage for the front of the legs. So as we come up to standing, simply use the wall as your friend here. Okay, you can reach to it, you can touch it, you're going to come up, and let's lift up when we stand up so our heels lift up. So it's a little different, but this dynamic of heels up brings the length in the front, okay? So it doesn't need to be as high of a heel lift as you can work with. I would lift up my heels so I can feel the balls of the feet, especially kind of the middle, out to the little toe. It kind of rolls a little in that space. So try to push under your maximum, okay? Now right heel is down and left foot back on the chair seat. Okay, my chair is a little too close for me. So I'm going to push it back. I want to hook my toes under with the left foot, just like you had with the lifted heel, but now it's stretching back. And use the lift of your hands at the wall to creatively balance the arch and the spine, to balance the arches here. Right? From the foot through the spine, it's all related, and I'm hoping you feel this in the front of your left thigh. You can let the toes relax on the chair. Yeah, feel if resting them allows you to continue without spinning your nervous system too much. We want to put the brakes on the stress and work on refining the alignment here. So I just slide my left foot off the chair. And I like to work with feeling the beginning of that. So I lower my foot down, kind of drop it, and then stand for a few moments and scan both fronts of the thigh. How does that feel? Any more space on the left thigh? And then as I use my hands to push into the wall, I bring my right foot back on the chair. I'm going to hook the toes under. See how far back I get comfortably with the left knee slightly bent. The right leg has to be quite bendy, but the left leg is softening. If it's different on the second side and you really notice it's not as influential to feeling like a deep pull, maybe it seems balanced. Try with the top of the foot down, and try with tucking the tailbone under and see how that influences your hip flexors. So my hands can go down at the wall a little bit, but cultivate that inner lift here. Try to refine the bones. And we have to build muscles to build bones here. So same thing goes. Soften the left knee. Now stay with this right thigh energetically. I know this session is a little bit in depth, and it's going to keep that way all the way through. So stay with it. We're getting there. Stay with the top of the right thigh opening. Okay? Now lower the right foot back and down and turn to your right, and then turn all the way around so you're facing down to the chair with your hands. Okay? And how we made it here. So the same leg that we had flipped back on the chair, we're going to work into that hip flexor and kind of the attachment. So my left heel is now at the base of the wall. I could have my heel up. Okay? So you be the decider as we kind of plow into this one. And pursue the left calf to sensation deep, right? So really work with deepening that flush of the calf. So that might mean you push the chair away and it flushes out, but the right leg is our focal point coming up. So my right foot is parallel. Pretty much all 5 toes are forwards. And as I turn to the right with my torso, kind of notice what turns when you get the direction to turn. You probably turn your brain first. So you might consider this so that you're not so brain oriented. You might use a block on the chair if it's helpful for you, but you might not use a block as well. So I'll give this for all heights here. You gotta kind of fuss with this one. So my elbow's on the chair or the block, but I want to make sure the block is sturdy on the chair. It's not halfway on. And then I'm going to try to turn from my tummy, right? I'm going to turn my ribs, because that's turnable, my rib barrel. And my right foot spazzes out a little bit. It wants to peel open. So make sure you have a wide enough stance, not too wide, but that you can press down through the right foot. Okay? Swing the right arm back and bring it up. Encourage that right leg to not stiffen, but feel the flush of energy that's through both of the legs now, especially with that calf into the right hip. Lift up the right arm, stretch it back now to your left hip, and turn to look down to the chair. Okay, stay with the energy of the right thigh. Bend and straighten the leg. Bend and straighten. I really feel my left calf when I bend the leg. So alternate this. Go slower than you thought you could go. Slow-mo. Mosey on in. Okay, last time. Okay, stay with the energy for a moment. Okay, now lower the hands to the seat. Turn your back. I mean, it goes pretty quick. It turns pretty fast. Okay? I want you to work your way here so that you feel the hands plug into the seat. And then when you move the left foot forward, step into it. Bend your knees so that they almost touch the chair seat. So you're not going to a squat, but you're rebalancing to your glutes. Lift up your arms. Sit back into a pretend chair behind you. If you have 2 chairs facing each other, sit back a little lower. Feet are parallel. Bring your hands down to the chair seat, and then stretch back with that right foot, the heel down. Ooh, that calf could use some symmetry with the other one, huh? So the back foot is parallel, right? Toes are forward. Make sure the toes are forward on the back foot. And then look to your feet that they're in 2 tracks. Yeah, and the flash of the heels is a helpful focal point, is the heels pressing. Now, with the weight balanced in the legs, especially this left thigh, you could put your right hand on the chair and then turn and left arm goes up as long as your waist goes. However, if you're kind of feeling this core goes along for the ride, but it's 10%, then I would encourage you to have your elbow on a block and or the chair. If you have long arms, it goes to the chair. And then that left arm goes up, and you're trying to get more of this core, right, the rib barrel to turn, right? So you're actually really trying to let your breathing accessories, right, your accessory breathing muscles, the intercostals, to strengthen and tone. Okay, so feel the body pivot, reach the left hand around to your right hip, and keep on rotating. This is a pretty thick rib focus, so it's very safe for spinal rotation. So it's thicker, it's denser, a little more concentrated and not so flimsy with the twist. So just notice how you calculate turning. If you get flustered with it, you can always come out anytime. Now the left hand simply comes to the chair, okay? Switch back your right hip. It's a hip switch back, okay? And then as the hands are on the chair seat, we're going to push the chair away. I know, did I mention this was going to be a little focused throughout the session? The whole time, plugging in from one phase to the next. So I push forward on my left foot, I lift up the right foot to the wall, I'm too far away. I want to feel that when I put my foot at the wall, it's fairly full in both thighs, like, oh, they feel full. So when I turn my right foot open at the wall, I have my left hand on the chair seat and my right arm lifts up. Yes, it should feel challenging for balance, for connecting the upper and lower body, and most importantly, for strengthening the left hip, right? Strengthening into the joint, but we're working on the weight-bearing aspect. So scoop the right hand under the left arm, turn the waist, inhale, turn to the right and up with the hand. Exhale, twist, turn, right arm sweeps under. Inhale, lift through the arm. And last time. Feel that there's a little bit of squeezing, okay? And then right hand on the chair seat, keep the right foot at the wall. Concentrate for a few moments. If you need to come down to your elbows on the chair, do it. It's okay. Let's say this is really deep for you and your wrists aren't happy, come down to your elbows. But work on this weight-bearing aspect with the left thigh and the inclusion of that right foot pushing into the wall. You've got to put in some energy into the foot at the wall, okay? Now, as I pivot the right foot, toes face down at the wall, my left hip stretches open, okay? Just like we did with that revolved triangle pose quite a while ago, maybe 3 minutes ago, huh? Okay, now when we switch sides, we're going to lower the right foot. Let your head lower down, spine drain. Bend your knees. Now we switch sides because we really only did one of those sides. Left foot comes up. Does it feel different? When you walk your hands into the chair seat and you lift up your left foot, does it feel like the same flexibility in the second leg or the same ability to basically work on the endurance of it, okay? So that's gonna be time. This is a time track here. So right hand on the seat or elbow, Okay, you can always bring your block back up too. You're gonna pivot the left foot at the wall. Now this right buttock, right, if you were going to dissect right and left, you can feel the right buttock turning it, kind of the pelvic floor, it basically finds tone. So I want you to feel like you're pulling all the way up into the right groin, okay? The right buttock is toned, and the left arm lifts up. Yeah, take a look down to your foot, both of them. Bring your left arm up and plug into it. Really push into your left foot, power through your heels. But most importantly, the foot at the wall. That's a standing foot. I mean, the wall, it's an illusion that it's not a base for you. It is a base in this pose. And it ought to be one where you feel your heart rate go up in this pose. It's a little bit more endurance, so stay with the energy. If it doesn't go up, no big deal, but get a feeling of the intensity. And then scoop your left arm under the right armpit. Inhale, turn and lift the left arm up. Stabilize, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. Inhale up. Try to find where it's different from your hips and your waist. So when I'm turning, I'm not trying to flip my hips around. They they're stable, but my core is twisting, right? Now, as I move the left arm down, and I pivot the left foot at the wall, toes facing down. Breathe. It only helps. Not too much laughter, but more breath. Okay, lower the left foot down and let's get onto the knees. So we're gonna lower down, we're gonna bring both knees down and actually glide that blanket across your mat. Okay, important that when you put your knees on the blanket, I just kind of stuff the blanket up on my lower thigh and then I lift my knees up onto it so I still feel the wall a little bit. Okay, grab a block, place it on the chair. Push the chair away and then reach your hands to that block, elbows on, and hands basically hold the block. Don't spend too much energy on squeezing things because there's enough that's going to feel squozen. So when I lower my head down to touch the chair edge, I feel my hips reach back. Okay, see if you can bring your hands that are holding onto that block so that you're going to move your block towards your upper back. Okay, now stay with this as we lunge, okay? All right, this will have a little energy with it. So what you're going to do is lower your hands forward, scoot your elbows off the chair edge, step your right foot forwards, push your left heel into the wall, lift the back knee, and then you come up, and your emphasis is on lifting up your arms. Okay, so you don't have to bend the elbows, but I do want you to use that hold of the block and lift up the ribs. Most of the time this is taught with a belt, also holding your elbows tightly in. But the belt is quite challenging to organize, so we're going to stay with simple. So I want you to try to stay with the elbows drawing in, not trying to flip your block back, but keep the arms up. And then lower back down. And since we're already kind of hips up, switch sides, left foot forward, right foot back. Heel is up at the wall, doesn't have to be, but it helps keeping the back foot toes moving forwards, doesn't it? It's helpful. Okay. So when we bend the left knee, this is our final intensity, and then we'll be seated and on our back. So it's going to phase down soon. Okay, now as I come up, I'm going to work on holding my block. It's kind of helpful if you do this without your block. It's a little easier, but the connectivity with the block is useful for your shoulder strength your upper back fluidity. It's about fluidity, stability, flow through the joints. If you like doing this and you want to do each side one more time, this is your time to change and do each side again. But for most of us, we might find 2 is enough. 2 for 30 seconds each. And then when you stabilize in that left leg, I'm going to lower down onto the back knee. And then switch that left knee down, taking the block to the side. And then let's simply take a seat on our blankie. Let's take a few moments to set this up. So what you're going to do is bend your right knee, and my right thigh is on my blanket, the whole thigh flesh from my seat to my knee. It doesn't have to be knee, but it works for my length. And my left leg is stretched on the floor under the chair. Okay? So take a sandbag and slide that up on top of the right thigh. Okay? How distant you are from the wall is somewhat critical, but not essential. If you're not going to practice twists on this one and you've had enough twists, that's okay. I'm trying to do a twist in each piece of the puzzle today, but if you find you need to limit those, this would be a pose where you could limit it. So I'm going to grab the chair and get it close, and then lift my arm and rest it on the chair. Okay, so I could slide the chair away, feel that stretch on the side. I could put a block under my knee or a ball if you have one of those, if your knee is feeling sensitive. But now that we've worked with our legs so much, let's get into our core, our obliques. So my head's going to rest in my hand. My right arm's going to stretch over, or it's going to explore. And I could have the arm on rest mode and still feel in my side. Okay? Yeah, if you want to go deeper and have your hand holding your foot and so forth and go without a chair, you could do that. But consider that the chair brings you a large amount of support for your back muscles. So if you touch your back muscles on the left side, you can feel that support and hydration. So with the emphasis here on length, maybe let your eyes close. Your right arm could be anywhere USA. It could be on the side resting, could be up. But please go with that for a few more moments with the side feature. Now when you come up, I want you to try to reach your hand back to the wall, and then the arm that's farthest away could stay on the chair. Nice to feel the parts of your back that are stabilizing. The chair is awesome for this because even if I'm taller, let's say I was taller, just having that stability under my arm can help me find some inner lift. Versus having nothing under it, it kind of holds it up. It's like you have a little bit of a waist holder. Turn to the right. Keep it real simple for the back. And lower the right hand. And turn to your chair. You're going to cross the right foot in front of the left shin in a simple cross-legged position. So switch so that you're facing your chair, cross-legged, right? Sandbag goes to the left thigh now. And I lean forward. Well, I'm going to move my chair away again. So maybe you go far this way. And another way you can go is to bring your elbows out of the chair and forehead rest on. This is nice. I like this version. This is a good recover position. Now breathe into the back side ribs. Expand your back like you're filling a balloon. Now, can you feel the left hip? So when we come up, I'll have to nod to myself. When we come up, we're going to stay with that left hip. Okay, so when you reach your right foot under the chair and you turn to the other side, you have your, well, this one's a little different for me, my thigh under control on my blanket. So notice that. I mean, we have to keep the blanket the same so that we try to work on our alignment. So if you notice you can't quite form your alignment the same, notice those things and try to correct what you can possibly do on your own. Because it's important, right? This is your essential time for this. So the right leg is straight under the chair, toes are upwards, how else will they be anyway? Left foot on the inside of the right thigh, stand on left thigh. Go in, right arm on the chair, left side of the waist lengthens. Feel reach. You could use your right hand to hold the back of the chair. Some like to go a little deeper in with this position. Hold onto the bar of the chair and be here. If your arm is long and your armpit doesn't get cut off here with that, you could go with that. It's up to you. That feels kind of good. It is quite deep on the sides of the waist, right? So even though these muscles absolutely adore that you would get in there because they're quite neglected in the daytime, they're usually slumped down. So try to get that blood flow in those areas. Even if you're here with your elbow and your hand into your head, or your head in your hand, and then stretch that left side. Contemplation. Now the left foot pushes into the right thigh, the left hand back at the wall, and then go into the twist as you would like. You could stay with the first pose longer, or go into the twist here, and rotate. Get that left shoulder down and in, like you're sculpting your back. Sculpt your back. Left shoulder down and in. And try to sculpt your back. Not so much your chest, it does it anyway. But your back, the place you can't see. Sculpt it. Yeah, the hand can turn back, the thumb up, that's ideal. But not everyone likes that. So if my neck is bothered by that, I change it. I might turn my head a little side to side, find neutral. Now unwind and turn forwards to the chair. Kind of shift your hips again. And right foot forward of left shin. Sand over. Right back. And chair goes forwards. Okay. So when you are with your hands onto the chair seat or your forehead on seat, either way will give you 100%. This is commonly what's taught in most textbooks for this, is head to the chair. Okay? It's obviously cooling for the mind, right? And if the hands are on it and you still have several minutes left to practice, you still don't want to get too sleepy, this might be the way to go, unless you got like 5 minutes left in the practice. Then you could bring your head to the chair and call it a practice. So a few more moments, your choice. Head on chair, hands on chair. Completely what you want. No one's going to bother you, hopefully. Okay, now when you get the feel here of your right hip, okay, let's start to transition our way back. In fact, let's move our chair to the side. Almost right chair. Okay. Take off your sand. Take a bolster. Place it in front. Okay. We'll take the leg position back. So what we're going to do is some back strengthening, some hip flexor work. So you'll move your thighs so your knees are on your blanket. And when you adjust here, I like it if your feet can touch the wall. The wall is a great source of support. It's quite interesting. So this one you'll have to guesstimate. When you lower on your bolster, feel like, oh, I'm supported, my front is important. Visualize you're in the water, each by yourself. Okay. All right. Make a pool at home. So when I lower down my knees, they're not too far apart. So I'm going to slide my feet closer. It almost feels like I've got to kind of move my hips a little side to side. So give this one a try to help yourself get centered. So when my knees lower, I'm going to slide my hands back under my shoulders and then push up and lengthen the front, but be so careful of your back muscles. Okay, now when you lower down your elbows, your chest to the bolster, fingers out wide, brain centered, breathe. Ribs expand and contract. Now slide back into side stage. Yoo-hoo! Okay, when you come up with your torso, feel this length, and then sneak the left knee up to the bolster. So I'm going to turn over to my left hip down and slide my blanket up. And maybe you're too close to the wall. Some of you might scoot a little bit away. And when I stretch the right thigh back, you might need a ball or a block on the inside of that right leg. Something flat, probably not the block too high up. And then attach a sandbag. Sometimes getting casual with the sandbag and just kind of pull it up and not spending too much energy on getting it, grabbing it, tightening your neck with that grabbing position. Just kind of slide it up and see where it ends up, right in that valley, right? In your waist valve, or your waist valves. Yeah, you almost don't want the sand too heavy on the back, but sometimes it feels good. So feel weight. Now, if your left arm is feeling choked up with this one, you can switch it around. You can cross the bolster horizontal and put some towels or blankets under your head. So if you choose to watch this one again, that might be something to prepare for. So we'll be here about 45 seconds, so about 9 breaths is about that. Okay, so find where the ribs feel the impact of the inhale, filling them up, and then exhale, letting go. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Now, when you enjoy that spacious awareness through the side, maintain that, and when we roll onto our back for reclining cobbler's pose, you might like to add a block under the back end of your bolster for your spine. And if you don't have a habit of using one in this pose, because we usually have a blanket set up, it's probably good for you to just try it sometimes, just to get a habit of changing your props around. Because the block is perfect height. It's like 2 blankets, right? This though brings it so you don't have one under each leg. So that's different. So right now I've got my blanket under my seat. Different. But when I guide myself back, I can scoot my feet right to the wall, so I'm stretching the ball of the feet, right? So stretch the toes. Relax your arms open. And feel the inner thighs delicately challenged with the stretch. Try to keep the feet pressing a little bit to the wall. They don't have to push together right now. They already feel it in the inner thighs. Now, if the arms are far apart, slide them a little closer so that you can tolerate the openness of the collarbones. Resting the eyes, relaxing the neck and the brain. Or maybe it's the brain and then the neck. I feel a little bit of that vulnerability on the adductors. And bring both hands overhead. So reach both arms back to separated arm motion. And then we're going to move our knees up and use the feet and the hip strength to direct your momentum turning to the right side side. So right hip down and lower your arms, find your way over to that right hip. And this bolster needs less height, right? The side stage height is important that it's flat enough for you that your ribs can kind of acclimate to that spatial dimension. So you're not trying to climb up the roller coaster, right? They're not going uphill, right? It's a little less stressful for them. So I'm going to put a block under my left leg and add my stand to my left external waist. So left arm reaches, waist length, breathe, enjoy. Right hand can clutch around the left wrist. Now, as we release the arm, okay, I want to keep us thorough here, it's motion. You're going to move your sand away. Okay. Start to lift up, use your hands and guide your bolster besides your right knee. Okay. And then you're going to turn so the left knee pops up, both feet shoot towards the wall, blanket goes back. Actually, this works perfectly. I got a block. I'm going to put it between my knees. What do you know? Okay. I know that I'm on my back. All right. So I'm going to have my blanket far back, but I don't want the fringes facing me. If it's bad luck, I don't know. So the things that get enamored into your consciousness from practice. Okay, so let's put our feet up at the wall so you're at the right angle. This is the final spinal. Okay, so I want you to emphasize when you push to the wall, like kind of replicate it with your hands. You push. You don't have to stress your shoulders, just this mobilizing push. Now when you lift up, you know how back bends are oftentimes called wheel pose, wheel? Kind of think about this, moving through the back, creating that direction in the hip sockets, walk the feet up. Now they only go so far that you feel the stretch into your back. Now this blanket under your head doesn't have to be. You could try it, and some of you know already, you know, I'm not gonna have a blanket under my head. It's not great for the cervical vertebrae for every body, but some argue that it's what they need. So each his own. Now, when you lower down your spine, guide the spine, and then feel the weight of the hips. Squeeze the block without fussing with your feet. Just let them be wherever they are. Maybe a little up, maybe a little centered in front of your knees. Just squeeze the block. Relax the squeeze. Okay. Now, when you push down into your feet, I want you to find that co-contraction of pushing into the feet. Wheel through the back so you're feeling that you're rounding, curling, and you're lifting your hips up. So use the amount of your back muscles, not just your spine, but the whole back to hold you up all the way up towards the trapezius. Arms go overhead. Endurance, and lower the spine. Go slow, especially those spinal two vertebrae. And then, right, then you feel the center. You let your hips go all the way to ground zero there, right to side. One more. Push into the wall. Now, when you push, you almost automatically grip your block. So it's like one less instruction. Push, and then round the back, and you can bring your arms overhead. And balance. If you lose your block, don't worry about it. It must not be meant to be. Sometimes the legs just can't hold it, right? It's pelvic floor tone. So when you lower down, try to keep that tone of pelvic floor. Lower down. And let's guide the knees into the chest. Okay? I want you to move the block aside. Push yourself back so that you can cross your left leg to the bolster. Okay, so push back so your right leg is straight. Blanket under head, left leg over to the bolster. Okay, on bolster. All right, slap on a sandbag on the outer left thigh, and the right knee is bending now. You used it to push to lengthen the spine. That was pretty good. And then when you twist and cross it over, the spine is twisting from a straight line of travel, and then you're twisting from that line. So it's a pretty smart way to do your twists. If you're only going to practice twists on your own this way, this is a smart way to use the wall, make the legs straight, push back, straighten that side of the spine, and then take the rotation. Yeah, yoga's kind of cool. There's a lot of variations you can do for self-care, helping your alignment get in track in your structure. It's useful. So feel the sand on the left thigh from here. We're opening out the left arm. Let your head roll left. Trying to put a brake on the nervous system. We're going to go from these into an inversion. So you might let your mind go a little bit calmer, just with the fluidity of breath. Nothing else. All the muscle sensations are part of the experience. So maybe enjoy what's feeling and changing. Now you move the sand to your belly, and the belly lies back. And as you come around from your twist to neutral, knees pointing up, take the bolster to the left side of your mat, of your left leg, and then straighten the left leg down. Push into the wall so you can feel connection through the force of the leg into that left side of the spine. Cross the right leg to left to the bolster, put on that sand, and if it's a little bit shorter of a twist, meaning you're not trying to swing the leg as far over or push out of your back muscles, that's okay. You know, I find that if I shorten the twist up, and let's say I decide to stay with my left leg straightish, or stay with that for right now, I just feel it, that's all. Now, I have to turn my foot out so this right hip can actually start to loosen. But I'm not going to try to swing my leg farther out to stay in my spinal twist. I'm going to keep it closer to my hip. So you can choose, right? You can either make it more challenging in one awareness in your back or in your hip. It's quite a research project, so it's nice to do it at home too. So you can explore that, do a little bit, do the rest, take a break. And some things will start to sharpen up in your consciousness that you can further or ignore. Up to you. So feel the twist, feel the chest gradually centered, open. Head turns right. Belly breathing. Now let's start to slide the sand from the thigh. Okay. I want you to bring your feet both to the wall and activate the feet pushing into the wall. Arms by your sides, like you're in a reclining mountain pose or Tadasana. So you're pushing into the wall like you would into the earth. And just keep that the part that you're doing, just feet. The rest of it might come into play. And now when we go upside down, I want you to notice how your feet don't get stepped on anymore. Right? You're not trying to force down your habits of posture. So that's why I find them really helpful. They put the brakes on your nervous system most importantly. Like they change the dynamic internally. So that's why we spend some time on them. So that can actually start to recover and restore. So as you walk your feet in towards your seat, I want you to roll to either side that you're cozy going, and then you're going to set up for Viparita Karani. So we'll put our bolster at the base of the wall. If you're going to set up for chair shoulder stand, begin that prep now. Okay, and those of you that know that tutorial-wise can start to set up chair, blanket, armchair, and a bolster at the base with maybe a blanket on top. Okay, so you're going to sit on your bolster. The blanket's important on this one, so I don't want it too far straight away. Now, when I sit on the bolster, my goal is to sit my rear against the wall, my sitting bones. So don't skimp on that one. Try to let your seat really touch to the wall. And then you're going to slide the left arm under and roll to the legs actually kick up to the wall. Okay? You swing them up the wall. Now, if my blanket's under my brain, I place it so it feels like it's just brain support versus shoulder support. Now, if I want to tuck it lower down to my shoulder top, that's okay. You might do that and then make a tiny roll right at the base of the neck so that tissue gets some length. That feels good right now. So I'm going to add sand to my feet. Knees are going to slide towards my ribs. And then when I put my sand on and I lift up, I have my heels resting at the wall. So your heels are in rest, but you do want to feel that the heels touch. So if you don't use a sandbag, you want to focus on the heels, reinforcing that touch into the wall. That's important. Whether your feet are flexing or not is not as big right now. Feel the heels touch. If you're in shoulder stand, you're trying to find that inner groin lift. Up, and way into the feet. Lifting them towards the side. Okay, feel the feet elevate. And then accepting. And let your arms find where they're supported if you're on the wall. Arms are in cactus. If you're in a shoulder stand with a chair. You've got your hands under the chair, holding the arms, opening the chest. So we all have the work of opening the chest. Let your eyes rest into their sockets, back to the brain. Back to the thinking grounds. Anchor your attention on the breath. Yeah, feeling how the belly fills up. Hand softens down. Now, at any time, if you decide to remove your sand and feel this without your sand, that might feel nice for your feet sometimes. I like the weight bearing into my hips, but you know, if you decide you want to move your sand away and then let your legs stay in a peaceful zone at the wall, there might be something useful for you to feel the pelvis press down into the bolster. Either way, any pose you're doing here, shoulder stand or wall, you do want the tailbone to press downwards. So there's an opening in the lungs, the chest, the breathing muscles, the intercostals, and the digestive organs get this useful position to massage the organs and to savor each breath with that motion. Few more minutes. So go into your breath. Exhale out. Now we're going to move into toddler's pose. So you move the sand. If you're at the back of the chair, you can put your feet together, your knees out, and toddler's pose. If you're at the wall, hands on the legs, press the legs towards the wall. Try to bring your shoulders back. They just habitually kind of cling up to your ears. Just rewind, let go. Now surrender the knees in towards your heart. Hands hold the shins. If you're coming down from shoulder stand, now you have the feet at the back bar if not already. And then let go of the lungs and start to slide yourself down. And then land with your legs on the chair and then your knees to your chest. Deep breath, feel the breath in the back, especially where your props might be touching. And then we'll come together and go to one side and come around to sitting. Feel yourself slide and then take your seat on top of a cushion or blanket. Cross the legs and moments of centering, feeling that inner environment. Feel a little more spacious or conscious of your breathing and let your hands slide and merge together in front of the heart space. Brain bows to heart center. Let's unite our focus internally. May this practice be of benefit to others. Inhale. And with exhalations, bowing to the Namaste. Okay, thank you.